Hi, everyone. I am Linda Welbrock, the CEO and founder of Leading Women Entrepreneurs and the Force for Change Awards. And we have such a dynamic, inspirational guest with us today, Victoria Magliacane, who is the Senior Vice President, Market Executive at Investors Bank. Welcome, Victoria, and thank you so much for your time, and congratulations on being a 2021 Force for Change honoree.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Linda. It's my pleasure.
Absolutely. So Victoria, tell me, you have been in the banking world for such a long time. What exactly is your role and the mission of the bank?
Yes, several decades in banking. And, Investors Bank, I joined this wonderful bank in 2008. I've had the privilege of serving in a senior role where I oversee about a third of the bank's branches from Middlesex County down to Gloucester, Camden. So about 50 branches. And the role really is leading the team of employees in each of the branches as it relates to sales, service, client experience, community involvement, and the likes. And the bank's mission really has been the same since I arrived here. One of the things I love about the bank, it's consistent in its approach and the core values and mission of the bank. And that is really to give back to the community, to be the bank of choice, to build relationships with small businesses, large businesses, consumers, and nonprofits throughout New Jersey and New York.
Well, again, you're just representative of such an amazing executive in a non-traditional field for women, and we applaud you for that. And I know your mission has stood strong even through the most challenging time in history. And so I'd love to ask you, what were some of the biggest takeaways that you've had during this pandemic?
It's an interesting question. And I think for me, what I really noticed throughout the pandemic is just this heightened awareness around how much people really needed to slow down. The need as a nation that we have to simply come up for air. The pandemic sort of forced this for many people, right? It made us realize that, we had to slow down. We had no choice. And that's not for everyone. For many, we sped up. For many essential workers, it was the craziest, most hectic, trying time in our lives. For most of the nation, though, it was really a time to reflect, to slow down, whether it was going from commuting to working from home. So you didn't have the craziness of being up and down the turnpike or the parkway, really more time with family. Some of the healthiest things can come from this. Eating at home, eating home cooked meals, spending that quality time with the family, the things that as we're moving so quickly through life, whether you have grown children or younger children and they're in school and they have after school activities and you have board meetings, there's so much going on that I really feel like the time that we had during the pandemic to just simply slow down, decompress, maybe take a little bit better care of our health, maybe work out, maybe get a run in, have dinner together as a family was very, very helpful. I know for me, in terms of health and wellness.
Absolutely. I can totally empathize with what you're saying. And having 3 kids and not having to be a full-time chauffeur from 4 until 9 really gave me a lot of time to, think about being healthy and cooking meals. So that was one silver lining. Now, you mentioned how health is so important to you and to the world in general. You recently became a certified health coach. Tell us how you came to that decision. And I know it's a very personal one.
Yes. And so about 2 years ago, I unfortunately suffered 2 heart attacks. And while I wasn't an unhealthy person and I didn't really eat unhealthy, there were a variety of things that contributed to that, but it really was a wake-up call for me because I was 56 years old when it happened, and I made some significant changes in my life. And through my journey of health and wellness and just getting through it myself and healing myself and figuring out what I needed to change myself, I realized that there was such a gap between Western medicine and the patient. And the more I learned and the more I read, I decided to take it to a completely different level. And I studied and became a certified health coach because I thought if I went through this journey with so many questions, how many others are going through it in their lives, whether they suffer, from a severe health problem like I had with heart disease, or they're just not feeling healthy and they're not feeling well. And the doctors spend a couple of minutes with them and it's really not enough time. So, sometimes people take it upon themselves to educate themselves to get better. Sometimes people just simply don't find the time and they continue to live unhealthy lives. But I decided that I wanted to first get myself healthy and then help others.
Well, I mean, that is so amazing to hear how you took obviously probably the biggest challenge in your life and turned it into something that is going to help so many and impact and educate so many on what the proper steps are to preventative care. I've had the great pleasure of hearing one of your seminars, and I took a lot away. And I consider myself to be a relatively healthy person. So you're right. We push through things and we ignore signs. And at the end of the day, the body keeps the score, right? So
that's absolutely true.
Yes. So thank you for, sharing your personal story with everyone. Now, speaking of personal stories, after 30 years of being in the banking industry, what advice would you consider giving your younger self?
Wow, that's a powerful question and sort of a mouthful. But for starters, I would say be true to you. I don't have daughters. I have two sons, 25 and 30. But if I did have a daughter, or if I could speak to my younger self, I would say be true to you. Be comfortable in your own skin. We oftentimes don't feel that, and that's a shame. Be yourself. Don't shy away from opportunities because you think you may not quite be ready for it. I had the opportunity to attend some seminars at Wharton Business School many years ago. And one of the lessons the professor gave was, oftentimes, particularly women, will wait until they're 80 or 90% ready for an opportunity. And so if you're 60 or 50%, it's okay, go for it. And that's what I would say. Allow your voice to be heard. Sometimes young women, they don't necessarily speak up, and we can do that in a way that we can hear our voice, but we can also be heard as well, and do it in a professional way and an intelligent way. And we should be speaking up. And be self-aware. I say self-awareness is so critical, and I wish I knew that when I was younger. But the way that we act, the things that we say, the way that we carry ourselves, always be certain that that's the way you want people to see you, and that that's really what they're seeing. Sometimes perception is not our reality. And then I would say, I think this really came to even more reality during the pandemic. Be kind to people, even when they're not always kind to you. And people are not always kind to us, but continue to be kind back. Always do the right thing. And this one, is a big career lesson for folks that are coming up the financial industry. Be, just doing the right thing. Sometimes we always feel like we want to get credit. We have to get credit. Let's make sure so-and-so knows that it was me that did it. Always do the right thing, even if you're not going to get credit at the end of the day. And then finally, check your ego at the door. Because I always say in life, whether it's politics, whether it's your career, ego, arrogance, and greed often are the killers. So check your ego at the door. Always do the right thing.
I am going to be listening to this advice daily. I am so glad this is recorded because we're going to have it on our YouTube channel. So many just tips to remember. I wish I could print it out and hang it on the wall. That was beautifully said and so true. Every last sentence of it. So thank you for sharing your time and your beautiful story of inspiration and survival. It's just incredible to hear it again. And we can't wait to celebrate your success and recognize you, Victoria, on November 8th as a 2021 Force for Change honoree. And again, congratulations on all of your success.
Thank you so much, Linda. Thank you for the opportunity.